Into today's topic. I've had this story for a while that I've been meaning to share, but it honestly wasn't the right time to share it. And now, I guess more than ever, I feel like it's the time to share it. This week is going to be all about faith. All about taking that faith walk. Like Abraham, who God had instructed to leave his house, his father's house, take his possessions, and go to the land in which he would show him. He didn't tell him where. He needed him to take that first step first. Many people would be like, well, where are we going? What are we doing? What should I do? How am I going to get there? Like, many people would have so much questions before they even leave. And I'm not saying that questioning is a bad thing, but there's times we have to step out on faith. And God uses different ways to get us to know that he is speaking to us, or know that faith is what is needed in this moment. And so as I walk you through my Abrahamic journey, remember that faith is the evidence of what you cannot see. Because if you could see it, it wouldn't be faith. And that's in Romans chapter 8, verse 24 to 25. Now, I didn't quote it specifically, but that's the gist of it. We have to be able to abandon this idea sometimes that we need to be in control, that we need to know what's going to happen, that if we don't know what's happening next, that we are going to fail. There is so much beauty in taking risk. There's so much beauty in taking flight and jumping at an opportunity. And yes, we may fail, we may fall, but sometimes there's a net, and sometimes the fall wasn't as bad as we anticipated, and we actually learned from it. I try to learn lessons in many things that I go through so that it can better prepare me for the next time, or for the next season, or for whatever is happening around me. Gotta stay sharp, right? And this story, well, let me say this. In my life, I've always been the risk taker. I'm the one with the super colors. I'm the one with the glitter lipstick that is not a costume, but I walk outside looking like this. I'm the one who will apply for different things and pray that we get it. Like, I am the one who is not afraid of going out there. Now, when and if it fails, does it hurt? Yes. A lot, significantly. But oftentimes I've learned from those painful mistakes. And sometimes it's God who needs me to learn something. Like, I have to learn how I am, like, fully rounded. Like, we have this idea of ourselves that we are, like, even if we know we're not perfect, sometimes we have an idea that we're, like, better than other people. Or we'll look at people's situation and be like, whew, that couldn't be me. And sometimes the only way we know if that truly couldn't be us is if we go through a situation. For example, I'm going to use a really simple example. Let's say you're walking somewhere and you stub your toe. And the person, well, you saw someone stub their toe. And they're cussing up a storm. They're like saying all the F words, every name in the book, because it hurts, right? And out of the heart flows. And so that's the stuff that they kind of internalize. And so that's what comes out in that moment. And you say, ooh, look at how their mouth is so foul. That could never be me. Okay, well, then it happens to you. And you're cussing up a storm. And you're shocked by your own reaction. There you go. You're shocked by your own reaction to the same situation. Well, that's because certain things you don't know until you go through that pain, until you go through that situation. Not every situation is the same, but you should get the gist of it. And so when we read, I love that people read the Bible and they're like, wow, that's really cool. Not realizing that the Bible is literally a manual for how we're supposed to live life. Like, I know that happened how many years ago, but like, it's in the Bible for a reason, because we all go through similar situations to what they went through. Look at Abraham. Further past him moving, some people may know Abraham for having a baby with the maid, we'll call it the side chick, having a baby with the side chick because the wife was barren. Now, that's a modern day situation. How many men are out there having babies with a mistress or somebody else because the wife that they're with cannot get pregnant? And then the wife in the Bible, Sarah, she ended up like despised, although she was the one who initiated, say, hey, sleep with her so maybe I'll get a baby that way, because they didn't necessarily want to wait on God's promise. God's promise was taking a while and they got antsy. And so they decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it myself. I'm going to just figure out a way. How many women are like, I'm just going to go to a sperm bank and get a donor because they want a baby and God's not bringing it the way that they wanted it to, or they're like, oh, I'm too busy to do it that way. Cool. Same situation. So now this maid has a baby and is able to get pregnant. And the thing about the maid is that I didn't like is that she started taunting the other lady, like, that's why you can't get pregnant, and started talking a whole bunch of smack. And so it made, obviously, the wife feel bad. And she cast her away. She's like, nah, you gotta leave, get her away from me. Her and the pitney. She's like, yo, move them. And what I love about the story is so many people don't realize, like, the Bible is the ultimate, like, mix up and, but like, it has the most stories in it. But then it also shows God's grace, and it shows how he relates to things and how he responds to people. And then it talks about the birth of Jesus. Like, there's so many amazing stories that come out of the Bible that we can relate to, and how to respond and how to act and the different things that it says. And so when you look at a story like that and you look at your life, you're like, man, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to respond like that. How can I live life differently? How can I live life in a better way? And I know you're like, what does all this have to do with faith? Well, faith is trusting that when God says something, it's going to happen. Had Abraham and his wife Sarah believed God, even in the time that it didn't look like it was going to happen, they wouldn't have created, it's called an Ishmael because that was the son's name, but they wouldn't have created such a messy side relationship. Like, when us humans get in the mix of things, like when we get in God's business, we just mess it up. Because we don't know how to act. We don't know what God has planned. Faith. Faith is trusting. Faith is trusting God. Trust is God's love language. Like, when we trust him, when we say, God, I know you got this. It's challenging me, but I know you are in charge of this. I know you're going to bring me through this. Like, he's so delighted. He's so happy. Versus when we're like, God, I know you got this. Okay, but I'm going to just be over here and I'm going to work out plan A, B, C, D, E. Like, or B, D, E, F, G. Because he has plan A. Just in case the plan A fails. No. Sometimes all we got to do, or all we should do, is trust plan A. And don't make a plan B. Because making a plan B brings the temptation that if it fails, I'll do this. A lot of the really successful entrepreneurs are the ones who jumped in and was like, it's all or nothing. There is nothing else. Like, this is what I'm doing. And you gotta applaud them for just knowing what it is that they're supposed to do. Knowing what it is that makes sense. Knowing where it is that they want to be. And so faith is a thing that a lot of people struggle with. Because when things get out of control, when you're in a ship that you can't steer, you leave your life in the hands of other people, and that is frightening sometimes. Not knowing where you're going to be, not knowing where you're going to end up, not knowing how everything's going to work out, but yet somehow, for the most part, it always does work out. Have you ever noticed that? You'll like freak out about something only for it to end not as bad as you thought it would. Faith. It's something so powerful when we truly grasp what it is. When we truly have an understanding that faith is here to better our lives so that we don't get stuck in the mundane. We don't get stuck in the repetition. Repetition is great, but we don't get stuck in it. We don't get stuck in believing life can only be one way. We don't settle. I talked about this a few weeks ago about settling for things that we believe that that's the best we can do. When truly, if we had enough faith to put our trust in God, knowing that God has something out there for us that's better, we would wait. Wait for God's best, because at least then we know that we're getting an amazing deal. I love waiting for God's best. I don't like settling for anything because I know it's less than what I deserve. I've been single literally since my son passed. What is that, like 19 years? I've been single by choice. You know, people are like, I'm single by choice. And people are like, no, you're not. You're just gonna... No, I've been single because I needed to work on myself. I needed to heal. Getting over the death of a loved one is hard enough, but a child, ooh. I lost everything. Rebuilding my life, a place to stay, a car to drive, like finances in my bank account. I lost a lot. And for the last 10 years, the safest space for me has been in the arms of God. Trusting, waiting, praying. And it hasn't been easy. Like, sometimes I cry. So I'm like, why can't life be different? Why does it have to be? Or why does it feel so challenging? Why can't I experience something incredible? Like, why do I see all these people, like, doing all this stuff? And I'm like, man, I'm talented. I shouldn't be, like, still in this space 10 years later trying to put my life together. My life should be already together. But this morning, God gave me, I keep seeing the time 9/11 for months. And I'm like, what does it mean? And I'll read a scripture and I'm like, okay, it's that. And then I keep seeing it. And today I just finished saying, man, God, it was the right product, just the wrong time. Whole other conversation that I'll get into maybe during this week. But essentially, the scripture he gave me said that the race is not for the swift. And the smartest person is not always the most successful person. Everything comes down to place and time, essentially. Being at the right place at the right time. That everything falls in order. Everything aligns so perfectly. Everything will just be one blessing after another. Instead of struggle here, blessed, struggle there, blessed. Like the up and down, the roller coaster of it, it won't be. But it might just take a little bit longer waiting for it to fall into place. It might just take a little longer waiting for my husband, my future husband, to get his stuff together, to heal, so that when I meet him, I'm not meeting a broken individual. It might take me longer to heal. I might be the cause of my own delay if I'm not doing the things that God has asked me to do, if I'm not showing up in the way that I'm supposed to. And also, it's just time. I told this story before of when I moved out of my house. And I tried really hard to move out of my first year of college so I can be next to school and have my son with me. And I couldn't find no apartments. Nothing. Nothing was working out. And so I got a car. My mom gave me her car. And I said, okay, I'll just commute to school. And the next year, I decided to look for apartments again. Well, the next year, as I had prepared the whole year for it, I found an apartment at the last second. And when I look back, I'm like, well, why wasn't it ready the year before? It wasn't even built yet. Sometimes the things that we want, they're not even built yet. They're not even done being made. And if we get it before it's done, it is going to cause harm. It is going to cause pain because you're like, we want things. Basically, if you got a cookie before it finished and it was half baked, it wouldn't taste the same as when it's fully done cooking. But because of our impatience, we're like, give it to me. I don't care. If it's half baked, I'll eat it the same way. No. There is such beauty in waiting. There's such beauty in having faith and knowing that God is who God said He is, and He will do all that He said He's going to do. And so this faith walk that I've been taking, I've kind of just hidden out of the way of people since September. We're in May now, just to give context. I haven't talked to too many people. I haven't reached out to too many people. I've kind of just been on my own, and the people who have reached out to me, those are the people who I've talked to, really. Because I'm in a season of surrender. I'm in a season of handing over my life fully. Now, this has been a season that has challenged me. This has been a season that has brought some things out of me that I didn't know was there, but I'm happy that it came out of me here versus if I got what it is that I wanted. I'm happy that God has brought me through this process, and I'm excited to tell you the story. I went through this whole thing to pump myself up to tell you what the story is, because it's a story that is really incredible. And I'm ready to share it because I'm on the other side of it. Like, I'm coming out of it. I don't like to share things. It's funny. I went to Alberta last week, but I didn't really post any pictures until I came home. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, enjoy your time in Alberta. I see you're in Alberta. Have fun. And for some people, I didn't even correct them. I don't always post where I'm at when I'm there. And it's not something that I do because celebrities do it. It's just in me. Like, I really like to enjoy the moments that I have. I really like to enjoy the company that I have and the places that I'm at. And I don't want to ruin it by always posting and always being on my phone like that. And so certain things happen afterwards. Certain things I didn't have answers when everything was happening back in September. And so I really needed to be in a space of peace and quietness. And when I was ready to do that, when I was ready to come out of it, that's when I decided, okay, now I can record the story because I'm ready. I'm ready to share it. And so stay with me this week. As you know, sometimes I post part 1s, part 2s, part 3s. So this week, we're going to talk about faith. And each day, I'm going to share a little bit more of the story on this journey. And honestly, I pray it encourages somebody to keep going, to not give up, and to grab hold of faith, because it'll be your best friend in this life. It really is what you need. The Bible says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. And so we all need just a little bit more faith. God bless you. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Lips and Language podcast. My name is Cola. I am so excited that you are here. If anything I said today resonated, then get in touch with me. I have an amazing mentorship program. It is for those who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, going through grief. It is truly an amazing time. If you want more info, hit my website, lipsandlanguage.com. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can hit it up on the website or DM me. I have a free gift for you, and I would love to be in contact with you. Whatever you decide, just know that healing, it looks good on you. And I'm so excited that we get to do this journey together. Have a blessed day. And if nobody told you, I will. I love you. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.